14th. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I just want to quick share one little message, and it's not as much as it relates to the romantic side of Valentine's Day, but don't be afraid to tell people that you love them every single day. It should not take one day a year for you to tell, I don't know, your mom, your dad, your neighbor, whoever it may be, that I walk up to people all the time, and when I leave them, I say, hey, I just want to let you know I love you. It could be in June. I tell people all the time I love you. And I have new people that will be in my world, and they look at me kind of funny. And I just tell them, look, I love you. Like, don't overthink it. It shouldn't take one day or day a year for us to kind of spread that message. It can be a 365-day year in the way in which you live your life. So for those that are on the call, I love you. Thanks for showing up. All right, we're jumping right into it this morning. And I think I'm a little out of order, but don't worry. We'll get back on track. Heads up, next week, there's no team meeting on the 21st. A handful of us will be out in California for a family reunion, getting all the latest tips, tricks, state of the industry, what's coming down the pike from a technology standpoint. So just as a heads up, there is no team meeting on the 21st. Last week, I went a little bit deeper in terms of our mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. And in there, we talked around, or I went a little deeper in terms of equity and opportunities for all. And I shared some things that were happening last week, and I just wanted to kind of reground the group as it ways in which that we can leverage our platform to make our community a better place, right? And I firmly believe this, it all starts and stops with housing. Last week, we talked, I'll jump back into this in a sec. We talked a little bit about the X housing event. One sec, this is where I'm a little out of order. We talked about the affordable homeownership town hall, and I give props because in 24 hours notice, we had 30 people show up. And a ton of people who do a variety of different production, but it was a meaningful conversation. And in the dialogue of the conversation, one of the things that they shared was they talked about how homeownership and helping close the gap in homeownership helps us close the gap in a lot of other things within what we can help solve within our communities. And they talked about the gap in crime, health-related issues, educational gaps between renter-occupied neighborhoods and owner-occupied neighborhoods, and the importance of how we leverage our platform through the vehicle of real estate to make an impact on our community here in southeastern Wisconsin by helping bridge that gap and increasing the access to affordable homes within the city of Milwaukee. And the byproduct of that is all of these other things: crime, health, education, and so many of these big ticket items that so many different groups are focused on. And I talked about how housing really is kind of the tip of the spear in helping our community create meaningful change. And it starts and ends with, starts with home ownership. So I commend the 30 that came out. ACTS is an important organization to me. It's something that I've gotten involved in, and I'll continue to share opportunities that they will be offering throughout the year of ways in which that we can leverage our platform to help give back and help bridge the divide of what's going on within our communities. Having said that, now I'm going to work backwards. I also want to give a shout out. I talked a little bit around, we have a Keller Williams agent, Angelique Cruz, who last week on Thursday evening was installed as the chapter president here in Milwaukee. NAHREP is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, very similar to mission to ACTS, but very specifically focused on the Latino community and helping bridge the gap within the Latino community in terms of homeownership gaps and making affordable housing. So again, affordable housing over the last several weeks, but truly is the tip of the spear in how we help solve or tackle some of these bigger picture issues as it relates to crime, health, education, so on and so forth. So shout out to Angelique in being installed as the chapter president for NAHREP here in Milwaukee. One other thing that I wanted to bring forth, and you may have seen some dialogue pop up recently, but I got to give a shout out to these ladies: Sarah Jo Dietrich, Abby Wall, Kelly Nicolancy, Janine Warner, Sarah Oberbrunner, Charisse Jean Greco, and Connie Cummings, who are an incredibly powerful group of women who have gotten together, and they want to find ways in which that we can leverage our KW community across all the different locations in Milwaukee. So each of these guys sit in different KW offices, and they are going to bring forth ideas in which that we as a group in small groups can impact our community in different ways, and a way for us to kind of leverage our platform. So with that, I'm going to flip it over to Sarah Jo, who's going to kind of introduce the concept of what these ladies are looking to organize amongst our group. Sarah Jo.
In case I don't tell you today, I love you, Charlie.
Love you too,
Oh,
SJD.
let's do what my kids always do. We like tell I love you to whoever's around you. We go, hi, love you. That's what we do when we go. So yes, so we've been getting together. We've got some things mapped out for the next 6 months. Is Janine here? I think it's 6 months. And the first one that we're gonna do is where's my next? How do I go to the next slide? Hey, Charlie, next slide, please. We are going to serve the Milwaukee Rescue Mission. And it's so funny. I was trying to memorize these stats and here they are. So they serve 800 meals a day. We are going to pick up shifts in February and March. And what we need from you is your time. And I know that that's a big ask. I know that you're all busy. But how's that saying go, right? If you're busy, if you need something done, ask a busy person. It's not because busy people inherently want to be busy. It's because busy people know how to fill their plate and they live full, meaningful lives. And we're going to ask you to partner up with us, come to the door, lose all judgment. People are there for a whole host of reasons. You'd be surprised out of a couple of choices, make a big difference of where you are. They serve homeless men, women, and children and provide shelter, provide emotional care. And, you know, you just got to go there, meet somebody, show up with integrity and compassion. And what people really need is dignity. So that's what we're going to do. So, woo, I'm not going to cry. Okay, next slide, please, Charlie. Yeah.
How do we sign up?
Yeah, right here. So we have, we broke it down. So we have the points of contacts for each of those dates. And I don't think we've had a few people reach out, but here it is. We also have this on the Keller Williams Facebook page. And we're going to be bringing offerings like this throughout the next, well, we're going to keep it going as long as we can, right? So if you have any other questions, Sarah Oberbrunner is a good contact. She's very involved with this organization. And that's about all I have.
What are the hours?
10:30 to 1. And then once you sign up, well, go ahead, Charlie.
No, go ahead.
Once you sign up, we'll send you just kind of like what to wear that day, what to expect that day, and just kind of the breakdown of how things are going to work while we're there.
Totally.
Okay.
I think here's the key to it. It's not a huge ask. It's 4 people a shift over a couple of weeks. And sometimes here's what I also know. When people are busier than busy, and there's a lot of things on your plate professionally or a lot of things on your plate personally, having an opportunity to give back and serve, or to have a healthy dose of perspective is really mentally freeing. And the byproduct of serving those in our community that need us the most, the after effects of that and the way in which that you view your problems really helps put life into perspective. And I think that's a really important aspect of this. Not only that, we have a good group of folks that love to give back. And I really want to give a shout out to Sarah, Janine, Abby, Charisse, Connie, Sarah Jo, for kind of leading the charge and saying, man, we have such a big organization. There's so many more ways in which that we can do to give back to our communities. So if you're interested, there are the dates. We'll also work together to make signups a tad bit easier, so you don't have to remember what date do I have to text this person. We'll put together a Google form and then coordinate it from there. Sound good? Beautiful. Sarah Jo, thank you for jumping on and sharing the concept and idea that you guys have brought forth and put together, and we'll continue to push it forward. All right. Having said all that, I think I'm flipping it over. So last week, big shout out to the North Shore and Innovation crew in Lake Country. Hopefully it'll inspire you as to what some things that are yet to come. We had over 200 people attend the awards banquet in the basement over at North Shore. It was an incredible day full of a ton of energy and really a ton of gratitude for those that were giving back. I think The absolute home run of the morning that we totally somewhat under expected was the agent awards and their peers, and what they said about their peers was absolutely phenomenal. You could see here some of the energy that went on within the morning, some people who really got after it and dressed up, but the amount of really love and energy and positivity and gratitude that was shared that morning was incredibly powerful to be a part of. And Lake Country, we're looking forward to doing it again next week, Thursday, the 23rd, out in the Lake Country space as well. But I just did want to, I'd be remiss if I didn't have a little bit of a recap in terms of some of the agent to agent awards, because to me, that was what it was all about. Peers recognizing peers for what it is that they do and how they serve their clients. So a handful, I just want to run this through. So as you see them, you can congratulate them. Rookie of the Year, Mike Langenhall. Rookie of the Year on a team, Spencer Harvey. Class Clown, Brad Yates. Best Dressed Gentlewoman, Molly Gallagher. Best Dressed Gentleman, John Molitor. KW Talking Billboard, KG. Office Regular in Innovation, Paul Nikolic. Office Regular in North Shore was Laura Brewster. Bonnie and Clyde was the Pembertons. Perfect attendance was Jocelyn Perez. Most accountable was Kristen Schlingman. Don't call it a comeback. Julie Litkin, who was on a showing, slipped on ice and broke her leg. Largest carbon footprint was William Lauer. The purveyor of intel was Andy Stillman. And just wanted to recap a few more. Everyone's bestie was Catherine Cronin. Social media guru was Jill Fink. Most charitable, very apropos, Sarah Oberbrunner. Laverne and Shirley was Gail and Brett. Life of the Party Innovation was the Wilds. Life of the Party in North Shore was Newbie. Married to the Business was my wife, Megan Staulet. Sunshine Award, Janine Warner. Teacher's Pet, Natalie Delutri. Client First Award, Amanda Schroeder. Entrepreneur Award, Lindsay and Steve Weber. Influential Admin over in Innovation was Paul Ratz. Influential Admin over in North Shore was JOC. Rising Star Award was Shawnee Levine, and the Red Hat Award went to Peter G. It was a great day. And I think the most important aspect of it was peers recognizing peers and putting them in a light in which that their peers view them. And I think that was the best part about the energy of the day. And so we're looking forward to running it back again out in Lake Country on the 23rd. And if you didn't get enough energy last week, join us in Lake Country next week. Cool. All right. With that, then, we also have a handful of people to celebrate who capped in the month of January. So here we go. Out in Lake Country, we're kicking it off with Bethany Clark on Team Trimble. Congrats, Bethany, on capping in the month of January. Next up, Patty Eubanks on Duval Real Estate Group. Patty, little known fact, Patty's son used to be the strength and conditioning coach for the Kansas City Chiefs and has a Super Bowl ring. Patty Eubanks, congrats on capping in the month of January. Next up, Paul's parents, who's helped lead the way and shape and mold them, Sue and Bosco Nikolic. Congrats on capping in the month of January. Next up, Brian Pat, and I would be remiss if we didn't recognize his partner in crime, Jan Hanlon, as well. Congrats on capping in the month of January. Next up, Patrick Simonis capped in the month of January. Congrats, guys. Next up, Bridget Ty capping in the month of January. She just recently rolled over. She did it all in the matter of like 40 days. Congrats, Bridge, on capping. Ross Treffert, an incredibly giving person, always willing to give back to those. Ross Treffert, congrats on capping in the month of January. And then lastly, out here in Innovation, Andrea and Todd Weichert, congrats on capping in the month of January. All right, here we go. So many folks capped. Let's take a look back at January 2023 results. $1 Million Month Club in the month of January, Andrea Weichert, Annie Stabler, Betsy Williamson, Bridget Ty, Bruce Gallagher, Coco Whalek, Katie Falk, Lauren Foy, Leanne Pluster, Maureen Stale, Molly Gallagher, Rick Reuven. Congrats on $1 Million Month in the month of January. Here we go. Home Run Club in the month of January. 1 listing taken, 1 contract written, 1 contract closed. A handful of people to call out. Congrats, Aletha Champagne, right? Brian Schweppe, Corey Bolt, Holly Speranza, Jonathan Newby, Karen Flanagan, Karen Trimble, Katie Monteblano, Lori Soroke, Kristen Stahulik, Melissa Waters, Paul Nikolic, Sal Aliota, Sarah Oberbrunner, Stacy G out in Lake Country. Congrats on a home run club in the month of January. So highest volume percentage of increase so far in the first month of the year. Shout out to Annie Stabler, Bridget Ty, Betsy Williamson, Randy Lee, Coco Wallach, Mary Beth Milkey, Kathleen Clausen, Lindsay Andrews, Christiane Camera, and Joey Carini on the highest volume percentage increase this year versus last year in the month of January. And then top agents on team for GCI Earn, Nicole McGonigal, Lauren Foy, Martha Ola, Sue Nikolic, Patty Eubanks, Steph Miller, Jonathan Newby, Laura Caton, Katie Hart, Laura Brewster. Congrats on an absolutely phenomenal month in the month of January. Here's what I know. Despite the industry and its headwinds, a lot of people had a lot of success. Here you go. January, individual units. Handful of folks had 3, a handful of folks had 2. New year, new beginnings. Individual volume, shout out to Annie Stabler leading the pack at 1.7 million for individual agents. Bridget Ty, Betsy Williamson, 1.3, Coco Wallach, 1.2, rounding out the top 4 for having $1 million month. Mary Beth Milkey, I see you. A day late, $1 short, but we're keeping, I like keeping you and pushing you accountable. So congrats on individuals for the month of January. Here you go, year-to-date teams, Falk Grove Gallagher coming out hot with 12 units closed, JSG at 9, SRG at 5, Duval Group at 5, Cluster Property Group 4, Fernwood 4, so on and so forth. Here you go, team volume in the month of January, Falk Grove Gallagher leading the way at 11.4, JSG at 3.9, SRG at 3.2, Gallagher Lake Country 2.4, Duval Group, Simonis, Double Bolt, Desty's team, Cluster, and Fernwood rounding out the $1 million months for the groups and teams in the month of January. Guys, congrats on your continued success and pushing forward despite industry headwinds. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Vranik, I'm flipping it over to you for tech and marketing updates. What do we got?
All right, good morning, everybody. So I just wanted to cover just a couple of different updates that have been made to Command and the Command app. And so the first is in regards to the Command app and how you can manage your opportunities on the go. So Charlie, next slide. So not only can you manage your entire database through the Command app, but you can also manage your opportunities. So you can create new opportunities and you can edit existing opportunities from the app itself. So you can add in your estimated closing date. You can enter in a description for that opportunity. You can add in custom tags. You can archive an opportunity. You can add in and edit the client's information, the property address. You can also drag and drop an opportunity from the active phase to under contract or closed, just like how you can do it on the desktop. You can also view your sales pipeline and all of your opportunities. So you have a couple different views within the app, very similar to how you can view it on the desktop, which I think is really cool. So you see on the screen here, you've got that pipeline view. You can view all of your opportunities. You also have a closing soon tab, which I think is really neat. So it just really keeps you in the know and really just a great way to access your opportunities and just checking dates and deadlines and things like that. And so one of the updates that they made is actually now you can edit the tasks that are associated with your opportunities. And so if you've gone through into your sales pipeline and really customized the stages and added in checklist items, you can manage all of those within the app now. So it's a really great view. You can see that on the screen as well, where you can, it's really robust in the different ways that you can manage these. And so you'll see, you know, you can call, you can text your client directly through that opportunity. You can edit those tasks, you can check off those tasks as you're going through the transaction. So really great stuff, super user friendly. And, you know, it's right there in your hand on the go. The other thing that I thought was really cool, so next slide, is you can actually add tasks from your notifications. So let's say you get a new lead and you get that notification on your app. So maybe someone downloaded your branded app or created an account on your website. You can view that notification on the Command app. You can click the 3 dots and then you can add a task from that notification. So it's a really great way way to sort of remind yourself to follow up with a new lead. So maybe you want to remind yourself to give them a call in, a couple hours or tomorrow, or maybe add them to a Spark plan. So another really great way, super user friendly, of just really utilizing that command app for your benefit so that you are staying really on top of things. So new leads that are coming through, notifications, maybe compliance, you're getting those and you need to remind yourself to update a document. So really great stuff. And then finally, next slide. This one I was really excited about. So you can now manage your notification preferences in Command. So within your settings and then general settings, this is where you'll find that. So there's 3 types of notifications. There are desktop notifications. So that's the web version of Command. There's the mobile in-app notifications. So the notifications that you see within the Command app. And then you have the mobile push notifications, the ones that you get directly on your phone. So all of those notifications you can now manage. You can turn those off. By default, all of those desktop notifications are turned on. And as you start changing these settings, there's a button in each category that allows you to revert back to the defaults. And then you also have quick actions where you can turn all notifications in a certain category on or off, or reset them to the default. So you'll see on that screenshot, you can click into each application and then you can edit those notifications. So if you want to get more notifications for campaigns or your contacts, and then maybe turn off more of the referrals notifications, you can do all of that within your general settings in Command. So again, just really kind of small changes, but really exciting, great user-friendly changes, I think, to Command and the app. So I think that's all I have. Thanks, guys.
Beautiful. Vranik, you're an incredible resource to the group. Thank you for all that you do. And guys, if you're thinking about learning ways in which that you can create efficiencies within how you manage your business, leverage Vranik. All right, Sheriff Reed, I'm flipping it over to you. What do these guys need to be paying attention to this week?
Got it. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. It's one of my favorite holidays because I do love everybody. What I'm going to talk about today are 2 very common questions that Steph and I get. And as always, I want to bring these to the attention at a team meeting because we have such a great audience at team meetings. This first one is, if a contract is stated with a conventional loan and through the process, the buyer needs or wants to change to an FHA or VA loan, do we have to amend the offer, send an amendment to have all parties sign to make that change in the financing? Historically, I've always said yes, but I was educated in our latest CE where I'm not sure which one it was, Tracy, I think said, no, you don't need to amend it, because actually in the contract on lines 270 to 271, it states, allows the buyer to use a form of financing other than that stated in the contingency. So it's right there in the offer that you can have a different form and you have the ability to do so. So then does the buyer need to send an amendment to change the form of financing? The buyer can satisfy the terms of the contingency. The buyer can satisfy the terms of the contingency by delivering a loan commitment, as it says, for the loan described in this offer, or another loan acceptable to the buyer. It doesn't have to say that it's also acceptable to the seller. So no need for an amendment to change the form of financing. However, there's one little glitch here. In the FHA loan process and the VA loan process, there is what's included called the amendatory clause. And if you are financing with FHA and VA, it says that the mandatory clause is needed for the seller to accept it. So does the seller can the seller say, I'm not gonna do the amendatory clause because it's not in the offer? And then the buyer would not be able to get their FHA or VA loan. That's a sort of a technical problem that can arise. If it happens to you, give me a call or give Steph a call. We'll figure out ways that you can word it. There's also another way of saying if they're accepting any form of loan, they're accepting the conditions of that loan, which would be the FHA and VA mandatory clause, and it would also be the FHA and VA appraisal process. So that's that on changing the form of financing. The other common question that we get is, what about defects when the seller is filling out the real estate condition report? There were defects that the seller had remediated or repaired. And so as the record reads, what are the defects in the property, they can actually leave those out because they are not current defects. The seller considers those fixed. And so the concern here that WRA is trying to tell us that it's the seller or their attorney, not you, the agent, not you, the agent, decides whether the seller should disclose information about their property condition or other information. So it is something that you are literally hands off in interpreting the record for the seller. Refer them to an attorney if they are having questions about it, but you cannot give your opinion. While the seller may believe that prior conditions have been repaired and eliminated, buyer's attorney may argue in court that all past and present defects should be revealed. I saw this happen live. I was in a deposition for that property in Whitefish Bay on Diversey that ended up being totally full of mold, and it was $1 million property. They had to tear it down. It was a huge lawsuit. Everybody was sued. And in one of the depositions, that was the key question on whether the second listing agent should have, or the seller should have disclosed that there was a leak in the kitchen, even though the leak in the kitchen ceiling had been fixed. The ceiling had been fixed, but what happened was the mold was still continuing to grow in that house behind the walls. And so it was a real deliberate point that the lawyers were trying to bring out, that the seller should have disclosed that leak in the kitchen ceiling, even though they considered it fixed. So I think the best thing is to, with your seller, to remind them that on the merits of disclosure and also the risks of non-disclosure. That's the most important thing. But you can advise them on how to fill out their record. It doesn't alleviate your obligation, however, as an agent to report all material adverse facts. So if you know about them, the seller is not disclosing them. If they are a fact, you have to disclose them in writing. And the last slide is just a reminder, which is a really good service. The WRA is offering free line-by-line training on a whole list of contracts that we use. So compliance brokers, Steph and I are always willing to explain lines and sections in the contract that we use. Call us anytime, meet with us. We will even accept test contracts so you can practice. Our training platforms stress the importance of knowing your contracts and how to fill them out competently. But in addition to all that, you can watch a video of line-by-line explanation. Now, we're pretty good with the offer to purchase and the ones that we use commonly, but recently the option to purchase, not the offer to purchase, the option to purchase contract came up with an agent who wanted to know how to fill it out. A lot of you don't use vacant land offers or listings, but here you can go into it and on your own determine how you're going to be able to fill these out competently. So that's it for today. Enjoy your heart.
Sheriff Reed, thank you. I sincerely appreciate it. It's not, again, I say this often, and it's not the sexiest of topics. And I know this because I always see people kind of checking out during compliance. But here's what
Really?
happens. Well, Sheriff Reed, here's what I tell them. They
Yeah,
seem to tune in real quick when they get the letter from the attorney about what they didn't disclose and the amount of time, energy it takes away from their business moving forward to help get out of a sticky situation. So the reason why we always have compliance every week is because we're trying to help you mitigate your risk. So that's why we bring it up. Right, Sheriff?
right.
That's right, baby. All right. Thank you, Reed, Sheriff Reed. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks.
All right, guys, now flipping it over, a couple finance and accounting updates. Again, I realized this may be sounding like a broken record, but I know that I have to tell you something 9 times before it sticks. So here we go. By the way, your 1099s have been sent in the mail. It is your home address on file. Raise your hand if you've gotten your 1099 last year. Great. If you haven't gotten your 1099 or you're still the one sending emails to Jen and Emily, think about why that may be. That's my message for today. Next, as it relates to tax information for your profit share, 1099s were sent in the mail. You should have received them within the last week or two. You can also download them electronically. Sound good? Cool. Last thing as it relates to tax information for 2022 is there were 3 important reports that were sent to you via email: your closed DA report, your associate expense report, and all your deduction reports as it relates to making sure that you deduct all of the necessary nickels and dimes to not overpay Uncle Sam. You with me? Cool. Here's the last thing, and I need you to pay attention to this one thing. Somewhat of a big announcement, but is what it is. Agent invoices for if I can get this to move. Agent invoices for 2023. We have to take an increase to 137. Okay. This is directly correlative to 3 things. Our errors and omissions insurance, because of your guys' success, which is phenomenal. Our errors and omissions insurance continues to increase, but it's also continued to increase because of the litigious nature of the market, right? The other thing as it relates to is our technology costs. If anybody has been paying attention, technology costs have gone up as well as it related marketing services and agreements. However, I will tell you the reason why we didn't roll this out in January, and this is going into effect in March, is I took 8 weeks to study the market of where I thought that the number and the costs should land. I will also tell you, we did not take the full increase that we are seeing on the brokerage end. And so we are bearing some of those costs on our end of it as well. The other thing is this aligns the entire KW ecosystem within the Milwaukee community, from New Berlin to Lake Country to even Prestige, to be the same exact agent invoice, which we have been somewhat out of alignment for the last several years. Not the most exciting or sexy news, but wanted to share with you. If you do have any questions as it relates to how this works or what this looks like for you, beginning in March invoices, do not hesitate to reach out to myself personally. I spent a lot of time on understanding where the competitive set is across Milwaukee and how these fees are derived so that we would understand that we had a competitive agent invoice. And we believe that we have found that. The other key thing is, one last thing as it relates from a comparison standpoint, you have to understand the biggest thing within our monthly agent invoice is E&O insurance, because we charge it on a monthly basis. Most other companies in town charge you in May or June for an annual basis. And so if you have to look at those 2 things on a comparable basis to understand where this all nets out. Make sense? Cool. Again, any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to me directly. Otherwise, this will go into effect in March. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. With that, I am flipping it over to Cotty, who's running us through training and events.
All right, well, call me Justin Timberlake then, because I'm gonna bring the sexy back.
Yeah.
Let's hand out some Bucks tickets. Let's have some fun. Enough of this compliance stuff. I'm just kidding, Joan. I love you too. All right, we're gonna celebrate another amazing group of people. Ignite finished up last Friday. the biggest Ignite we've ever had. It was phenomenal. A huge thank you to not just the people who plugged in every single day, every single week, but our instructors who gave their time, did it for free, and poured into our group. So huge thank you to everyone there. Charlie, if you want to go to the next slide, we have some stats from it. So 13 agents finished all 12 sessions with perfect attendance. We had over 1,000 real estate conversations, 19 signed buyer agency agreements, 9 listings taken, and 14 accepted offers. So congratulations. Doesn't get much sexier than that. All right. So the contest with perfect attendance is we're giving out some Bucks tickets. So Charlie, if you want to spin the wheel, you can see who's going to the Bucks game. Greg. Greg's going to the Bucks game. But we're going to double it. We're going to give out one other pair as well. So let's see who's getting the second set of tickets. Spin the wheel. Drum roll. What if it's Greg again? Alan, congratulations. All right, and for the rest of you, thank you for being all in at Ignite. We did have a few other prizes go out that we pulled the winners for yesterday. Thank you, Kathleen, for all your organization in this. $300 education scholarship going to Caddy and Keith, $50 Facebook ads, Mike, Caddy, Mike, Julie, and Sherry. Coffee with a mega agent. We have Ethan, Zach, Caitlin, Abby, and Jocelyn. And then transaction management, getting to try out transaction management for free and the value of that easy button. We have Bianca, Ben, Carlos, Justin, and Carrie. So congratulations to everyone who participated at Ignite. Yeah, those are good prizes, right? All right, this is the rest of the training calendar. Again, no team meeting. We are plugging into family reunion. People are jumping on the plane here soon this week, and we'll have a bunch of great information coming back to help plan our March training calendar. One last event to plug. We have Scott Kloss is teaching Build Your Profit, all about profit share for both agents and leadership. So Wednesday, February 15th, 1 to 2 o'clock. And this is on Zoom. So you can find that link on our training calendar. That's all I got.
Beautiful. All right, guys, I'm taking us home with a few insights as it relates to what's going on within the market. And here's what I want to point out. Okay. Sales absorption rates, the red line here, and this is the percentage of inventory that goes under contract. The red line here is the 24-week average, okay? 8.3% is the 24-week average. What you can see over the last several weeks is what? It's spiking, okay? 11% last week of the for sale inventory went under contract. Again, we're starting to build momentum as we're heading into the spring, and I know many of you are starting to feel it. I had a conversation with Tim Reardon this morning in our workout. He had a listing that went live in 12 hours. They had 12 offers and they had 20 more showings the next day that they had to, tell them to giddy up. Next up, here we go. Units under contract. Again, the red line was the 24-week average, rolling 24-week average. You can start to see the linear trend here as we are starting to head over the units that are going under contract. Last week, there were 343 units that went under contract. That is outpacing the latest 24-week trend. Now, you may also be saying, yes, but Charlie, the month of March or the month of January, I was heading to March, but the month of January was relatively soft as it relates to closed units. Yes, why might that be? Well, here's the problem that we're seeing. New inventory units are still hovering around 360 new units, 358, 362, 352. Last week was 285. well below the latest 24-week averages. So as you have so many units that are coming under contract over the last several weeks, and it is not keeping up with new inventory, what happens to total inventory? You can start to see here how it impacts total inventory, which is why you're continuing to see these competitive offer situations and why prices have continued to appreciate again, sitting here in mid-February of 2023. So what does that make? This is the total closed units on a week-by-week basis. The red line on average is the latest 24 weeks. On average, they would have 380 closings a week. Last week, there were 204. Now, the reason why I share this with you is this lags a little bit of this, right? What you're seeing is what happened in December and early January is now starting to close. Okay. My concern, as I've said for the last several weeks, is if we don't continue to see this number spike here into February and March as it relates to bringing new inventory to the market, we're going to continue to see unit activity from a closed standpoint be continued to be suppressed for a little bit of while we navigate through how we get people off their 3.5% interest rate that they've been sitting on, in creative ways in which that we can manufacture inventory to bring into the marketplace for more deal activity to be had. Make sense? I share it with you to say good things are happening. Demand side still relatively pretty strong. We continue to feel that kink and pain on the supply side. And while we continue to feel that kink on the supply side, it'll continue to suppress total deal activity within the marketplace. But I wanted to share kind of the week by week updates so you can kind of see what was going on within the marketplace. Sound good? Beautiful. Guys, it's February 14th. Have a beautiful day. Tell someone that you love them in a meaningful way. It doesn't take one day a year for you to remind them to do that. Spread it. And if there's anything we can do to support you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks, guys, for plugging in and tuning in.